Hey, I'm Harry Mays, and the tush push has been so unsuccessful that nobody wants to ban it anymore.
Hey, I'm Jason. Is this thing on? Are we doing the show now? I can't wait to break down the coaches picture at the coaches meeting? Is that what that's
the
from?
owners meeting?
Meetings.
Well, it's just a coaches meeting too. We're going to break it down.
I'm Louie DiBiase. I'm starting to think Omar Cooper Jr. is the perfect first-round pick for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
And Nick Sirianni is really bad at lying. We'll get to all that and more in this edition of Locked On Eagles Squad Show.
Fly, Eagles, fly. It's the Eagles Squad. Everything Philadelphia Eagles every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the city of brotherly love. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Eagles Squad Show starting now.
Welcome into Locked On Eagles Squad Show. We're going to talk about the pressing question ahead of the Philadelphia Eagles being who really needs to be the best version of themselves for the Eagles to have success in the upcoming season. Jeff Stoutland's quote-unquote role, because if you didn't hear Jeff Stoutland on the Season podcast with Nick Foles, you missed a lot in that one. That was a great one. Also, the edge rusher linebacker helped the Eagles get in. Sean Mannion scheme, a little tip of the cap to that from Nick Sirianni during his 30-minute presser yesterday. And A.J. Brown is a Philadelphia Eagle. Still.
He's
sources
on the roster.
Confirm.
Yep.
Just
sources
leave that.
confirm.
Leave that on your little text thing there on the side of the video where it says, "Hey, AJ still need." Just leave that there. You don't need to change that.
Right.
Week 1, that's still going to be there.
Ooh.
How about that?
Yeah.
By the way, is Nick Sirianni hanging out with Paul George? He looks like he's been on the roids. He's been pumping, man.
That's why he wanted to stand on the outside of the coach's picture so he could show off the arms a little bit better.
Yeah, and you want to get little quads and calves in there.
Yeah.
He's been working. He's not skipping leg day, Louie, like you do.
That's right.
Legs.
That's all
He could use a little core work.
A couple sit-ups there, Nick.
Yeah.
He only cares about, shoulders, arms. Like, he's only
Right.
really focused on that.
It's all the vanity stuff.
Sun's out, guns out, Harry.
Yeah.
The coach's gut always happens by year 3, year 4, you know?
Yeah.
Some of these guys come in young and spry. Doug Peterson, Nick Sirianni.
Then they
4 or
swell
5
up like a
years
wood
in.
tick in a lumber yard.
Yeah.
It's that going in at 3 a.m. and watching tape, eating
right.
tasty
Snacks.
Soft pretzels. Yeah.
That's probably what
We're right on the rails right away here, according to the grid. Let's go.
Oh, yeah? All right. Well, okay. Well, while we're talking about it, Jason, I know you have it. Go ahead and put up that picture because this is something very interesting here when it comes to the coach's picture at the NFL owners meetings in Phoenix. Nick Sirianni on the far right. Do you guys notice anything else about this picture? Anything else jump out to you guys? Because I think this is really telling about the Eagles' future. Anybody have the lead here?
The Eagles' future. I don't know. The
Harbaugh
brothers, one looks homeless and the other one looks like he still plays.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm looking at this like it's a book of Where's Waldo. I'm like, what am I missing here?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. You guys are missing the lead story here, gentlemen.
All
boy.
right.
Oh, boy. You ready for it?
Yeah.
You ready for the hammer? I'm going to drop the hammer on you guys. Nick Sirianni wearing shorts. Sean Payton wearing shorts. The only coaches wearing shorts, Sean Payton, Nick Sirianni. That all but confirms A.J. Brown to the Broncos. And by the legs being spread of Sean Payton, it looks like a first and a third for A.J. Brown.
I need this guy to get traded because everything connects back to him.
Oh,
everything.
Boom!
I cannot
All
wait for this guy
detective
to
work,
get out of
people.
here.
That's some big
I'm a
J
journalist.
journalism right there.
I'm a journalist right there, fellas.
Wow.
I'll tell you, Andy Reid hasn't worn a form-fitted shirt in a decade.
No.
Looks like he's wearing a bed sheet.
Yeah.
Would you?
He's starting to really look old too.
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's been 30 years.
How about Dan Campbell in the middle on the back? Look at that guy.
Let me put it back up.
And Vrabel doing man spreading, and there's Sean Payton trying to compete with him with the shorts on, like you mentioned, Farzi. That's a great look.
Yeah, what is Mike McCarthy wearing too?
Yeah, McCarthy looks old
that
as
guy.
hell.
Where's McCarthy at? I don't see him.
He's the far left, all the way on the
next
edge.
to Liam Cohen.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah,
I
he looks
apologize
bad.
to all our audio listeners right now.
Right now, for the people on the podcast, we're looking at the picture of the
let's
coaches
do like a
from the NFL
NPR style breakdown of the
there you go.
picture.
Yeah. Just
it's-
go to
I'm
Adam
amazed.
Schefter's Twitter and you'll find it.
Yeah,
I'm
we were
amazed Nick
brutering
Sirianni-
this thing.
Yeah, I'm amazed Nick Sirianni didn't just wear exactly what Sean McVay was wearing because he wants to steal everything else from him, apparently.
He should
Sean
be ticked
McVay
off that he got pushed to the outside of this picture. Like that guy's been to 2 Super Bowls, won one. Why is he the farthest guy on the edge?
Maybe
the
he was
most
late
I'd have
for
a
a
problem with
ride.
that if I was a head coach. I want to be Howie
He should be
Roseman
in
in
the
the
middle.
GM picture is smack dab in the middle.
By
Right,
the
and
looks
he's
of
Right
it,
next to
Reid.
Schneider, who just won the other Super Bowl. So
He and Andy Reid should be in the middle, sitting.
by the looks of
Because they-
Sirianni, he was probably eating.
A little
See, I was
puffy
gonna go
in
the other
belly
way.
hair. He's got
He was
those girdles.
he was doing 20 push-ups off camera just to get all swole right before he got his
One
picture.
arm too. Drinking
Yeah.
beer.
Yeah. Well, Sean McVay didn't make the picture, apparently.
Oh, that was probably
He
he's
was
busy
designing
working.
place, Harry,
Yeah.
in the bathroom on toilet paper with a paper,
Right.
with a pencil.
Oh, man.
Hey, guess what, folks? Guess what? We got 10 more minutes on this photo alone. Don't you worry. What do
Yeah.
you think of his sneakers? No. All right. Anyway,
welcome to the offseason.
I bet
Did
you
you
Andy
guys-
Reid was wearing shorts, by the way, with like a
Probably.
flip flop.
Yeah.
Jim.
Probably.
He's probably got a hammer toe.
He's probably got one of them yellow nails.
Yeah,
You know, the fungus nail.
the fungi.
No doubt.
now we're getting into hearsay, gentlemen. Now we've gone too far.
A hanging ham, Sammy hair.
Did you guys have a chance to watch any of the 30 minutes of Nick Sirianni? I do look forward to this little session they have every year at the owners' meetings where it's too many people in a room and one small table with too many reporters, not enough microphones,
Such
not
a bad
enough cameras.
setup. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the
It's
worst.
the NFL is what, $25 billion or whatever it is now. I don't forget
Yeah.
what it is. But it's like, okay, guys, just get in this hotel lobby and just everyone sit around the table.
Act
So
like it's a brunch. You know, such baloney.
literally. So Nick Sirianni gets asked the question. And now this was just a beautiful thing. So the big question for everybody in the offseason is A.J. Brown and what's going to happen with A.J. Brown and all that stuff. So Jeff McClain, after a couple of questions that just wasted everybody's time, I think, they finally get to the question that everybody cares about. A.J. Brown. What's going to happen with A.J. Brown? Jeff McClain of the Inquirer says, so A.J. Brown, what are your thoughts on the future of A.J. Brown? And Nick Sirianni, it was like bad acting in a 5th grade play. A.J. Brown is on our team. A.J. Brown is on our roster, and A.J. Brown will be on our roster.
Did he refer to his like written notes from the PR department?
It's like, well, Bob, can you give me that note again? Thanks. Okay. Read this. Got it.
Here's my
And
statement.
The very next question, as if to do exactly what we all did when listening to Nick Sirianni's answer, completely ignored it. And that's the follow-up question. How do you prepare for the season? This is Tim McMahon at ESPN. How do you prepare for the season not knowing the future status of A.J. Brown?
It's a great
So
question. I love the
it
way he
is.
phrased that. It was,
It was
awesome.
perfect. Okay, so Louie, so you
He
got
just
it as
put
well.
words in his mouth. I, love
I
it.
just
Great.
like I like when you know a coach or GM is they're not going to give you anything. Trying to phrase questions that almost forces it out of them. Another question somebody asked him, which I thought was also super creative, was, do you believe that Devontae Smith can become, if he needs to be this year, the wide receiver 1? And Nick Sirianni, like, props to him, though. He went right back to, well, no, include AJ in there. We have 2 1s. And they tried to catch
That's a
him a
good
couple
answer.
times in different ways because maybe they'll slip up. I think Nick would slip up over Howie, but he was very PR trained in that one. I'll give him some props.
That's a good answer. We have 2 1s because it's really true when you really
Yeah.
think about it.
But
If
they were
you keep
trying
him-
to get it out of him to like
Yeah.
hype up Smitty
Sure.
and say that he could be that guy, and he was like, "Nope, AJ's a part of that," and that was
Yeah,
that was.
if
smart.
he would have gone on and said, "Oh yeah, I mean Devontae perfectly suited to be a number 1 in this league," and
Mhm.
that was the hook, you know, to get him to say that.
Yeah.
So you have that he's now piping up Devontae as a number 1, so we can all read into that AJ's gone because he said Devontae is capable of being number, but he did not take the bait. He's on his toes. He's up on his skates there. He did not take the bait. Good on him.
You have to think that they've been covering this ever since probably the combine, since right before the combine when they had that press conference, the Friday leading up to it, that they're all over this. Yeah, all on their skates, all up on their skates. Absolutely.
Yep.
I still don't believe him. Now, here's the deal. I have maintained, and Jason, it sounds like you as well, that A.J. Brown will be playing for the Philadelphia Eagles again in the upcoming season. Now, I will say, we've talked about flip-flopping. I'm still that he's playing, but right now I would say I'm at my lowest point playing for the Eagles. I'd say I'm at my lowest point, though, of non-flip-floppage, okay? No, I guess it would be my highest point of non-flip-floppage. Watching Nick Sirianni answer that first question about A.J. Brown, I don't know anyone in the right mind that would watch that and go, oh, A.J. is definitely back. You watch that and you go, wow, Nick is lying through his teeth right now, unfortunately.
He knows something.
Did not pass the smell test. Now, it could either be, as some people have talked about, oh, it's already done. It's already a done deal, that type of thing. Or it could just be anything could happen.
Yeah, it's still up in the air.
We could get two number ones. It's still up in the air. It's still unknown. But it is not a good look the way Nick Sirianni answered the question.
No, for sure. And if you look at the combine and how complimentary they were of AJ, Howie Roseman went as far as defending him for how he handled last season. It was Florio's show. You know, he talked about not wanting to get rid of you don't want to subtract your roster of elite players like that when you're in a contending window. There was none of that this time. So that is noteworthy. Maybe they're just sick of talking about it. They are probably, though, deep into trade negotiations with a lot of different teams so far this offseason. Even the Rams, Les Snead yesterday confirmed they talked with the Eagles about A.J. Brown becoming a Ram. The fact that all they said this time is he's a member of the football team, that is interesting. And I don't think it's because there is a deal done and they can't say anything until June. I just think it's very up in the air and they have no idea whether or not he's going to be on the team next year. We won't know. All of this is just it's going to be the same stuff over and over until the draft. Until June, that will give us more hints of what's coming. But until then, like, they're not going to give us anything. They're just there's no incentive for them to do that. It doesn't help.
This is the biggest topic nationally going right now in the NFL. Now think about that. And there's something to this that just doesn't want to go away. When I sent you guys that Albert Breer audio when he was on with Rich Eisen, and he detailed it pretty good. That guy's very well sourced. If he's coming out with stuff like that, that's what's happening. Where the A.J. Brown's camp basically gave him 4 options in the AFC because they know the Eagles won't deal him to the NFC. That's another confirmed nugget. And they said, well, it's going to be the Chargers, the Bills, the Patriots, or the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Bills go out and make a deal. And it looks like Kansas City and LA, don't have that much interest anymore. So it's now focused solely on the Patriots, and it's a staring contest. And the thing that I found mostly interesting about that is what this comes back to, and why we are here is because he and the quarterback do not get along. A.J. Brown doesn't want to play with Jalen Hurts.
But see, what was also confirmed in that Breer report, Rich Eisen, finally somebody asked a reporter, has A.J. Brown requested a trade? Albert Breer also said there, it wasn't really, or he said, did he demand a trade? And Breer specifically said it isn't really a demand. A.J. Brown's camp is trying to see if the grass is greener. Right. I think that's what both sides are doing now.
It's not Max Crosby situation.
Yeah, so that's the thing is, like, I think both sides are interested in a departure if it works for both sides. But there's just so much to this that, again, it's just going to continue to be this that he said, she said kind of thing until the summer. Is it because of Jalen Hurts and his relationship? I don't know. I mean, I think it's more about just numbers and the style of offense, the differing philosophies of what the Eagles want to do versus what AJ wants to do.
Lack of usage.
Because what is it with Hurts and Brown that would be so toxic that he's got to get out of here at this point, that they've already been dealing with it for 2 years? Why now? Yeah. We didn't hear anything about last year, something happening with them. In fact, I saw them more celebratory together in the field the second half of the year than in a while. So why suddenly now is it, I got to get away from Jalen? Why wasn't that last offseason? So,
well, you said something really interesting, Louie. You said, his camp is looking to see if the grass is greener somewhere else.
Yeah.
And his camp isn't allowed to look if the grass is greener somewhere else and have those conversations unless he is given permission to do so. Otherwise, it's tampering. And it's not legal tampering. It's just flat out tampering. You got a guy under contract. Your agent can't shop you around unless you have permission from the organization to facilitate a trade or have those conversations. So that's the real kind of meat and potatoes here. Has he been given permission to look at trade options and then get Howie involved with that general manager?
I think the answer to that is yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, this stuff happens all the time, no matter what. We know that. We're not foolish. It's, hey, would you guys be interested in a 6'4" wide receiver that's going to turn 29 next year that's had 1,500 yards in a season without using, there's ways around it, obviously. But if we're hearing reports like from guys like Breer that his agent is looking to see if the grass is greener somewhere else, which I'll remind you, the grass never gets green in Buffalo, as Louie can confirm. It's never warm enough.
Confirmed.
And New England is not going to be green a whole heck of a lot longer either. We'll see. But that's the interesting. The fact that, for me, it comes down to this. Like, I'm getting so dizzy by the, is he going to be here? Is he not? I'm so tired of waiting until June 1st. Here's what I just want him here because I think he makes him a better team. I don't think any trade that they make right now for A.J. Brown is going to help the Eagles this season. And I only care about next year right now. I know they got to look at the long term and all that garbage and malarkey, but I see a team that's got a window next year with an aging running back that doesn't last forever, with some guys on that offensive line that it may be this and that's it for a guy like Lane Johnson. And maybe others.
Maybe Landon Dickerson, too. Who knows?
Maybe Goddard, too. And there's a lot here. And I go, what is it for next year? No matter what trade they make with A.J. Brown, they are not getting the best player out of the deal for the now. They're not. And they always say in trades and sports, the team that gets the best player wins at the trade every time. Not necessarily true.
Right, and if it would be for draft picks June 1st or after, it'd be the 27 and 28 draft.
It's not even this draft.
Right.
But it could help you. I mean, as Jason mentioned, you're going to have a lot of turnover on the offense the next couple of years. Kind of like the Carson Wentz trade. That helped you open up a new window. You had all these draft picks where then you could trade up for Devontae Smith, Jalen Carter. You could trade for A.J. Brown. And so, that's the thing is, if you do trade A.J. Brown, it's a really tough juggling act. And I totally get the back and forth of this. Does feel like 2026 is kind of last dance vibes for this core on offense. Yeah. So do you want to try to just run it back one more time? Or do you want to set up the future and bring in that new core? Yeah. I think you could kind of have your cake in.
I think you can do both.
I agree with Harry. Yeah. I think you could trade him next year and have the best of both worlds still. So I do think there's a way to do.
So have him this season, you're saying?
Yeah. Do you really think at the end of next year he's still not going to be worth some good compensation? Maybe you're not going to get a 1 and a 2, but if he has another 1,000-yard year and he's 29 years old, you can still get draft compensation for him and you'll still get cap relief. So I just think that's the best middle ground.
In this new offense that's going to be creative.
What if he has, or he just stays? What if he has 1,400 yards in this offense and then you've got a 29-year-old prime receiver still? Why would you want to get rid of that?
It's like a win-win to me.
First off, I want to thank Albert Breer for watching Locked On Eagle Squad show, because this is exactly how I phrased it a week ago. He would like to be traded. He's not demanding being traded. He hasn't put the sledgehammer through a table yet saying, get me the hell out of here.
Because he knows there's only a couple teams that the grass is
probably
greener.
He doesn't want to destroy his value.
And at this point,
he is in a good situation. I do think he realizes that as well, where you've been to 2 Super Bowls, you've won a Super Bowl, and him and Jalen Hurts broed out after the nice Super Bowl victory that they had together. The other part of it is that his agent already has knocked on those doors. That was reported during the combine, and I don't think that's any big shock. I mean, it's not illegal. I mean, I'm sure his agent has players on other teams that AJ would also like to go to. So you can have those conversations, and as long as there's not a paper trail. Yeah. Hey, by the way, what do you think about AJ Brown? He fit in that? Oh, yeah. Okay, that's
maybe he's finding out there's not a lot of interest.
I mean, or maybe the teams that he picked,
really,
they're not in on it, right?
The other part of all of this with AJ is also the fact that the Eagles have this new scheme that could be intriguing to him, and maybe coming off a Kevin Patullo year, that might be the low point for AJ Brown, meaning the high point that he'd want to be somewhere else. That's the other thing to consider. The other thing with Albert Breer as well is, and I think if I have it correct, from what you sent us last week, Harry, there was a point of that where, hey, Albert Breer, do you think that he's going to get traded? And it's like, yeah, because it's today, it's not tomorrow. Like, there was kind of a indifferent, almost tired of the story type of delivery to it. But I'm having trouble remembering what the specific question was, because he sounded a lot like Adam Schefter sounded, where it was almost hedging your bet a little bit as far as whether
They're all
or not
doing
AJ
that.
Brown was going to be traded. They're all doing it now. Yeah, we
all
talked
the
about it a
insiders
little
are
bit.
doing
yeah.
that. Well,
you're
we'll
probably
see
going to have
next
to wait
week.
until
We'll see
June
what happens.
1st.
Yeah, it's just not an obvious move. There's trades all the time where you're like, this is going to happen. It's a matter of when, not if.
Yeah.
That's not the case with this. I don't think there's not a single reporter out there that has been like, outside of Diana Rossini, probably, but there's not another outside reporter that is just so convicted, like just believing
flag
in
in the ground about it.
this. Yeah, because I don't think the Eagles even feel that way. AJ doesn't. Nobody in this story has a clear and obvious direction of where they want to go. There are so many moving parts, and that's why there is all this conversation about it, and especially the fact that it's probably not going to happen until the summer makes it even more complicated, and it's going to start even more dialogue. If the Eagles go out there and draft a receiver in the first round, that's going to kickstart it all up again for a couple months.
Well,
so
here's
it's
what
not
else
going to slow down.
Would if New England drafts a receiver in the first round, you
Or
pretty
that,
much know it's over.
Right. And if
Right?
neither do,
No leverage.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
then
No,
it
what
just
if the
leaves
Eagles
everything up in the
also
air
like?
still.
What if the Eagles also like that receiver though? Huh? What if the Eagles also
They
like that?
draft ahead of
receiver?
him. Well, here's the thing. I think
23
nobody
days and 6 hours until this draft. It can't
Can't
come
wait.
soon enough.
Maybe the reason for all this kind of waffling back from all the insiders is nobody knows, and whatever does happen, it's an easy explanation from AJ Brown. If he's here, I'm excited to be here, win another championship. We got this new creative offense. I think this offense is going to be great for what we want to do and the talent that we have. I'm really excited about Sean Mannion. They've really sold me on this offense if he stays. And if not, it's, hey, there's always an expiration date on everything. It's time just to move on. So there's an easy explanation either way. And, Howie can make the case in the comments that, but we loved having AJ here. He was great, won a championship with us, but, it's time to move on and kind of, build for the future and kind of the present and the future at the same time. We have to make that consideration. So I think the explanations are there, but I don't think either side or anyone really knows right now what is going to happen. It's volatile. It's called a volatile situation, Harry. Get me Sack on the line. Take me down to DEFCON 3, where it's moving all the time because the GMs are constantly having conversations, especially 23 days before the draft. Everything's on the table.
Certainly. Speaking of GMs, an executive from the Patriots did talk about A.J. Brown in that scenario. We'll talk about that when we return. And also, how about this? A nugget dropped by Nick Sirianni is what we could expect from Sean Mannion and his offense and how it has to do with their quarterback, Jalen Hurts. All that and more when we return to Locked On Eagles Squad Show back after this. Right now, it's time to tell you about Robinhood. Hopefully you guys are taking advantage. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You could buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. You always knew you knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply the knowledge. Now you can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play-by-play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the United States. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Locked On Eagles Squad Show. Nice to have you guys along for the ride. Here you go. Elliot Wolf, front office executive for the New England Patriots, said we haven't had any conversations about that in a long time. About that would be A.J. Brown, but he has confirmed to what we already pretty much knew. There have been conversations, but haven't talked about that in a long time. Look, if you could read into that at all, it's talk to me June 1st. Yeah. That's what I get out of that line.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I don't think anything is going to happen, if it does at all, with AJ until after June 1st. But I still think there's a pretty good likelihood that it's going to happen.
We haven't had a conversation about it because there's nothing to talk about right now until we get to June 1st, right? Mm-hmm. It's also cryptic. Like, damn it, would somebody just come out and say something definitive here? Like, we got a show to do, and we're getting tired of spinning like a top on this freaking A.J. Brown thing. See, that's the thing. Is the organization spinning like a top on it, or is it just us? Because, they're probably not, because they have some inclination which way this is going to go. but we can't get the info. We got to do this reading of Nick Sirianni fumbling a question, giving a prepared response and interpret it.
Yeah,
but
we need a Hard Knocks spring season with the Eagles. Yeah.
Oh my God,
a little more video access.
Wow, Harry.
Holy cow, Farzi's
like in
freezing mode.
Yeah.
He's like the Max Headroom.
His internet just crashed.
Harry really blew his mind with that one.
That was great.
Yeah, well, you see that they've been announced, Farzi. I know you love Hard Knocks.
He's back.
Seattle is the team this year, and New England next year.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Did you guys also see that the Eagles and Patriots are going to be having joint practice in August together? So that adds a little.
We ain't getting traded to traded to the Patriots then.
Right.
AJ Brown in a Patriots helmet against Quinyon Mitchell and Reek Woolen battling it out in Canada.
Oh, that'd be terrific.
Well, that tells you there's a lot of conversation between the franchises.
Yes, sir.
To coordinate the joint practices. It's in Philadelphia?
I don't know, but Vrabel confirmed he talked with Sirianni about getting it all set up for the summer. So.
These guys love the joint practices and simulated games and all that stuff.
It's better than a preseason game.
It's overtaken the preseason
for them.
In a way.
Really,
yeah,
really
they
get way more out of it.
Yeah, a huge part of why starters don't play in the preseason anymore is because of those joint practices. Yeah,
you just want to do controlled things anyway.
Yeah.
Is there only 2 preseason games this year?
Yep.
No,
just 2.
3.
Oh, what?
I think there's 3.
My bad. Just 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still 3. See, enough of this. Just do 2.
The opener has now been moved up to Wednesday night. Seattle will play in the opening game.
It's going to come a point where the NFL is on every single day of the week.
And then the next night, they play Thursday in Melbourne, Australia.
Yep.
And
Melbourne.
And,
they're going to play Friday in Melbourne, but it's going to be Thursday here.
Correct. Shanahan, I don't think, is too thrilled about it, having to take his team over. I wouldn't be either.
That's literally half a world away.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it'll be 1:00 on Friday when they play the game. Well, there'll be 7:00 Friday when they play the game. 7:00 here that Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're taking some of this a little bit too
ahead.
far. Yeah, the NFL, and I love the NFL. Like, I've dedicated my life to it, but it already takes over completely one day of the week.
I know.
Give me a
Actually,
rest.
multiple days of the week. If we're going to do this every day, I mean,
yeah,
going to have
Louie
no life.
A day to break down tape.
Yeah,
Check
how am I going to do
college
it?
game?
Yeah, that's right.
Watch flag football.
Wednesdays now.
Maction on Tuesdays. Watch the MAC conference. You know, flag football tournaments.
When's Louie going to get to the all 12?
Yeah,
the all 22.
That's right.
Well, there was a nugget dropped in there about what we're going to see in this upcoming season. All right. If you could take anything of value from Nick Sirianni's little presser, it had to do with the fact that Sean Mannion wants to do a lot of play action. All right. When he was asked about, everyone like rips the fan, like people will rip the fans. They don't know what they're talking. I'm talking about like players, coaches that, you can't make decisions like the fans because you end up sitting with them. That old adage, right? The fans wanted play action. They got play action against the Minnesota Vikings. The Eagles offense was clicking, baby, clicking.
Yep.
Their most complete game, all that
Perfect
stuff.
passer rating that game.
Perfect passer rating, all that. They're under center. They're running jumbos. They're running max protect. It was awesome. You got what's his name? Johnson, the backup
Fred Johnson.
tackle. Fred Johnson. Thank you. Coming in for Lane Johnson, taking over. It was great.
Yep.
And then they got away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And the fans were like, why would you get away from it? So yesterday, Nick Sirianni's asked about what Sean Mannion is going to bring to the team and how it fits Jalen Hurts' skill set. And first was a stock answer, then a little bit of analysis, and then back to the stock answer. The stock answer, I'll start at the end. Jalen Hurts can do anything. Jalen Hurts works his ass off. Jalen Hurts is great. Okay, now the meat and potatoes. Look at the Minnesota game we had last year. Everything was clicking in that game. We ran a lot of play action, the most we ran all season. That's where we had success. Jalen can do that. And then it was back to the stock stuff. That's what a lot of us, Louie, were looking at when it came to Jalen Hurts. Like, does he not want to run it? Reports came out he don't want to run it. After the Minnesota Vikings game, though, hey, Jalen, you were running a lot of stuff under center, a lot of play action. Yeah, I've been petitioning. I've been campaigning to do more stuff under center. I've been petitioning. I've been campaigning to do more stuff with play action. And then they finally did it. And yes, to your point, Louie, perfect passer rating in that game. That's the one nugget we really got from Sean Mannion. about, or really from Nick Sirianni, about what we're going to see with Sean Mannion's offense?
Yeah, I think Jalen Hurts was reluctant to run the football last year. I think he wanted to go under center more and be more of a traditional quarterback that didn't have to run. And I think play action kind of went hand in hand with that. So I think he was very willing to do that. And it's not a coincidence. The Eagles only had, I would say, like 4 complete 4-quarter performances on the offensive side of the football, right? And what was the common theme with those 4 wins? As you mentioned, the Minnesota game, the Giants game, the following week, right? That New York win when they were wearing Kelly green before the bye week. You look at the Vegas and Washington games, they won back-to-back to clinch the NFC East. Those are the 4 most complete games you had on offense this year where you didn't disappear for an entire half. What was the direct correlation? What was the theme of those games? They played more under center using play action rollouts than any other game of the season. And that is what they're trying to do. I don't think it's a coincidence. They saw that on tape and they saw that it worked. And now this year they're trying to move forward with that. And when you look at the NFL and the way defenses are adjusting to the deep ball, they're adjusting to the RPO game and these shotgun spread formations. Offenses are starting to become more condensed. And I think the Eagles are trying to do the same thing. And Jalen showed on tape last year that he can do it. So I think the question marks about Hurts this year, that part isn't really there for me, at least. Obviously, throwing over the middle is, but yeah, he looks very comfortable running play action. And I actually think it helps his mobility right now. I think it helps him get to the edge faster than an RPO play when now I feel like Jalen slowed down a little bit over the last couple of years. He doesn't always beat guys to the edge. So I actually think this will almost help his running style as well as we move forward as he gets older in his career.
Yeah. One thing's for sure. This offense is going to look totally different.
Completely different. This isn't going to be even like 2024 where you think Kellen Moore is going to implement some new stuff, but it's really the same. This is going to be completely different, I think.
I mean, you got the short to intermediate stuff, the rollouts and the bootlegs, the waggles, all that, whatever the vernacular you want to use. And then you got a guy like Hollywood Brown in there that is, he theoretically can still blow the top off a defense every once in a while and give them at least a threat to stretch the field with a big explosion play. But it's going to be a lot of run after the catch, which I love. I just love watching those teams like San Francisco, the Rams, the Packers, the way they move the football down the field. It's an appealing watch. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And it was
the other thing with that. Oh, go ahead. Go, Louie.
I was just going to say real quick too, to piggyback off Harry's point, it was great to hear Howie also talk about wanting that field stretching type as the wide receiver 3 when he was talking about Hollywood Brown. That was great to hear because I've preferred that as well in that role as a guy that can stretch the field vertically over the middle, and it opens things up for the rest of your attack on offense. So that was another takeaway, at least I had from Roseman's presser.
I didn't even think about that though when it came to, you're talking about the mobility of Jalen Hurts, because you can liken it to Saquon Barkley has admitted to this. Other running backs have talked about this as well. When you get in the RPO, the standard RPO, where the quarterback's just there flat-footed, the running back
the defensive end. Yeah.
No. But in the backfield with the quarterback and the running back, in the RPO, they're just standing there flat-footed, and they put the ball in the belly of the running back, and they're just kind of standing there reading what's in front of them, and then they have to start momentum.
Right.
But the quarterback in this scenario, if it's a rollout, if it's play action, he's already got his feet moving. He's already got that momentum going for himself. You'll hear from Saquon Barkley talking about how he doesn't like getting the ball in those situations. He much rather get it from a quarterback under center because he's already moving forward. His momentum is already going. You don't have to try to ramp up so quickly. You can kind of gradually get to that spot. So for Jalen, his benefit, he's not standing there flat-footed, then reading the defensive end. That's where he comes in, obviously, and then trying to make a move from that point on. It's already in motion. He's already moving, and if he wants to get to the outside, he can do it quicker.
And then he can move upfield too. Like, I just think he has more options there. And for a quarterback that is not a 4.3 speed guy, Jalen Hurts has been one of the best mobile quarterbacks of this era, but he's not Lamar Jackson's style of rusher. Like seeing Michael Vick back in the day, he is not a speed runner, right? So I don't think that stationary, as Marc was talking about, that stationary RPO play, I don't think that always helps him nowadays when an edge rusher at times runs a faster 40 than he does. So, I just think that is a part of this. It helps Saquon, obviously, and it makes it harder to read where the offense is going with the play post-snap. But I do think it helps Jalen's mobility a lot. And people wouldn't think that naturally because a quarterback under center, normally that's not part of the mobile style of his game. But I actually think it could help.
No, I agree. I agree with that. away from just Sean Mannion, but a couple other coaches on the staff. Nick Sirianni was asked yesterday about, hey, you brought in Sean Mannion, you've brought in Josh Grizzard, you've brought in Parks Frazier, among others. Gerard Johnson, you've brought in as well. So these are a lot of guys that could run that offensive coordinator job. These are a lot of guys that you interviewed for the offensive coordinator job, but you decided to go with Sean Mannion. What about the idea of too many cooks in the kitchen? And we've tossed this around, Jason, before. Too many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to this Philadelphia Eagles offense. What's the benefit of having so many coaches? And Nick prepared it for two things. One, Sean Mannion's great. He gets hired by another team as a head coach maybe next year. Sean Mannion's terrible. You have 3 or 4 other guys that could step in and do that role. I don't think the concern or the conversation should be cooks in the kitchen. It's the sous chef replacing the chef. Mm-hmm. That's what I think Nick Sirianni was hinting at.
To me, look, you can have cooks in the kitchen and guys but the rubber meets the road. It's got to be one guy that's accountable, one guy that's making the decision. And there's no, hey, what do you think on game day? That guy's got to be precise. He's got to, be confident. He's got to deliver it. And you can't have any hesitation when you're calling plays. You got to have that feel for a game. And you got to be definitive. And is Sean Mannion that? We don't know because he's never called plays.
Right.
So you just don't know that. You don't know. You can talk to a guy in an interview and he can say all the right things and interview great. But when he gets on the stage, he's not as definitive or, as prepared to do what it takes to think on your feet. Because all of a sudden, the pressure is on. There's a game clock up there. You got to pick a play. You got to be in rhythm. You got to have everything in mind. What's working, what's not working, what you're talking about in the headset with your guy upstairs. Is Mannion going to be upstairs or downstairs? Do we know? Probably downstairs.
Yeah, probably.
I would assume downstairs, yeah.
Downstairs. The offense coordinator usually is. D coordinator can be upstairs. But, is this guy going to be able to keep up with the game and what needs to be done? It's a big question because we haven't seen him do it.
But if he's not good, let's just say, since you brought it up, Mark, doesn't that stain the rest of the guys too? Like in other words, if he's a failure or just not good, I don't want to say failure, but if he's not good enough, what would be your confidence to putting Grizzard, come on down? You know what I mean?
No clean house, because at that point, Nick Sirianni will get fired. They're going to bring in a play calling head coach who's going to want his own staff. Yeah, I think it's more about. Yeah, it's a lot of different cooks in the kitchen, but they all have the same scheme. Like it's not like 2020 when they brought in Marty Morningweg back. They brought in one of those guys from Scarangello. I can't remember what his last name was, but he came from the Shanahan. Scangarello. Thank you. They just had a bunch of guys, plus Doug Peterson's background. It was just a bunch of different schemes. Like that was too many cooks in the kitchen, whereas they're all from the same background, though. I don't think it's about a succession plan because Nick Sirianni's not going to have another chance at this if it does not go right, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, those other guys are stained by proxy.
Yeah,
they're all going to be judged on the same thing, even though Mannion's going to be the one. I think Mannion's going to be good. I really do.
I do too.
I think a young guy, creative, played the quarterback position. I think that's a big element. I think I almost think a play caller should never be a guy that hasn't played the position. It's how do you know what I'm dealing with in a way if you haven't been in those shoes, to sit there and wait for the play call to come in and have that feel. Look, there's guys that obviously didn't play the quarterback position or play it at a top level that are great offensive coordinators.
There's 2 that come to mind right off the top of my head that are brilliant.
Yeah. But But I have faith that he's going to be good at it. I think that they look for guys that are very intelligent. They have that high IQ. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that can be a detriment because the guy thinks too much, but I have a feeling he's going to be good.
Yeah.
If A.J. Brown is here.
Oh, I hope you're right.
Full circle moment, Harry.
Yeah, hey, look, I'm rooting for it. But you've literally had a problem with experience in 2 offensive coordinators of your last 3. Both didn't work out. And to Brian Johnson's credit, I mean, the defense is really what went ass up in that season, but in 2023. But you've gone with no experience and you failed. Now you're going with less experience, and I'm supposed to be doing cartwheels.
Right.
And we're hoping that's
crossed,
exactly right. And by the way, Harry, just for you, because I thought that was a good way of putting it, fails at it or is bad at it, whatever. I literally said before last season, hey, he's got all the pieces, but what if Kevin Patullo is dumb?
Yeah.
Like, what if he's dumb?
I remember you saying that.
You said that about a Paisan.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yes.
He's probably from
You
the
never
north.
say
But
that
anyway,
I do remember that.
I think Jeffrey Lurie went back to the old looking for emotional intelligence. Remember that quote?
I think he's trying to do the head coaching thing that he's done in the past with the OC spot. I think he's trying to recreate the Andy Reid hire, the Doug hire, the Nick Sirianni hire. I think that's what he's trying. But to Mark's point, though, that's worked at the head coaching position. But for play calling specifically, it's been very hit and miss.
Let me ask you this question, because this is like a lot of bandwidth the organization's got to deal with every freaking offseason with this OC situation. Then they hired Nick Sirianni. I don't remember. I was probably in lockdown or something. But did they hire him as a head coach play caller?
Yes.
Yes.
They would not have hired him if they didn't think he could call plays.
Okay.
If they that is the truth. Like, it's
He
worked
fired
out
himself.
to
That's what
they value now what he brings to the table because of the track record, but they have always hired a head coach to call plays. Like, that's always been their blueprint.
Okay. So it's kind of like you got bait and switched.
Didn't Frank Reich have something to do with it, like recommending him?
Oh,
or-
yeah.
So the whole
absolutely.
point, when you think about it, people kind of completely forget about this, but I think they hired Nick Sirianni with the idea of fixing Carson Wentz in 2021. Before Carson Wentz demanded a trade, they thought they would bring in Frank Reich's right-hand man, because Frank Reich is the guy that got Carson Wentz to play at an MVP level in 2017.
Yeah.
I truly believe that was the initial motivation behind bringing Sirianni in.
And then we found
there
out
were
pretty
reports
fast
at
that he
that time
can't call plays.
Right.
and then he gave it up. And it worked out, so of course they didn't fire him, but they've been close to firing him multiple times during his tenure, and I think that's a huge part of it.
You got to think the organization's tired of going through this dog and pony show every freaking
Every year.
offseason, because the guy they hired as the head coach to call plays can't call plays.
Yeah.
And hasn't, frankly, even when they stunk last year and the OC couldn't call plays, couldn't step in and be an upgrade over Kevin Patullo. I imagine there was a conversation between Howie Roseman and Jeff Lurie. Why doesn't the head coach who we hired to call plays step in now?
Well, Jeffrey Lurie talked to the media today. It would be nice if a reporter could ask a good question like that for once, instead of asking if AJ Brown's going to get traded for the 800th
I have to go to a
time.
press conference now?
You go to Phoenix?
You do.
That's a huge question for Lurie. That would be a great. I hope somebody asks him that today. They likely will not. Like, my direct question would be: there's been this on-off thing with your organization for the last 4 or 5 years. Is there a direct correlation with that and your head coach not calling plays? Like, is that something you prefer? That is something that he should talk about. But
but you got to phrase it. Oh, the head coach that you initially hired to call plays.
Yeah.
As it is in most of the NFL.
Or like a question like, has there been any thought, like Jason kind of alluded to, I would ask him, has there been any thought about Nick, like, taking control of that again? And if not, didn't you hire him to be that? So just kind of get him to talk about it a little bit would be interesting.
And then
you're now in this vicious. You're now in this vicious cycle that you thought you were avoiding when you hired Nick Sirianni. Your thoughts?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been doing mock drafts this offseason. Now we're doing mock press conferences.
And it's a dog and pony show every offseason with this crap. Like, I'm tired of it.
No, you're not.
Because if you get a guy in there that's good, he's gone.
Gives us stuff to talk about. Are you kidding me? If everything was all honky-dory, what would we
Don't
have?
bite the hand that feeds you.
Harry, I'll turn this podcast into a Locked On Flyers squad show in a minute.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, don't think I'm not going to ask you about Pooter. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm sorry, Porter.
We have our NHL wild card standings update in a couple minutes here.
Wow.
Met him the other night, Farzy.
As a good kid.
He hit the gym. He's got an F1 neck. You know what an F1 neck is?
No.
F1 drivers have to do a ton of neck stuff because the G forces.
You go from hockey. You go from hockey to a sport, or
that's his second favorite sport.
You'll see why. Yeah. You hit the brakes at 270 kilometers per hour and get down to make that hairpin. Our head would pop off.
Yeah.
From the G forces going forward.
I've pulled 9 Gs. I've pulled 9 Gs, my friend. I've pulled 9 Gs. Come on,
9 Gs of espresso.
Salute.
He's got
I flew on an F-16. I flew
Did
on
you?
an F-16. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Oh, did you pass out?
Morgani's neck was bothering him. He couldn't do it, so they went to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
got
did I
it
pass out?
all
No.
back, right?
No, actually.
Like you're trying to hold your head on.
I mean, I was suctioned to the back of my seat.
Yeah.
It wasn't moving much, but no, the pilot said we want to go for 9Gs. I said, yeah, let's do it. We went for it, and we hit like 8.5 or something. Whatever he did,
You're
for
like,
whatever
okay.
reason, he didn't get the 9. And he goes, "Hey, we just missed 9 on the dot. Do you want to go again?" And I said, "Yeah, let's." Hey, I literally said, we didn't get dressed up for nothing. And he goes, "All right, we're gonna give it like 30 seconds, whatever." We gave it 30 seconds. Boom, he hits it. It was the Gravitron. The Gravitron at the county fair times a million. And then when we landed, yeah, it was wild. And he goes, "How you feeling?" I go, "I feel great." And then we land, and he said, I don't know if this is true or not, but it sounded cool. He said, "Hey, my call sign was Husky." And he goes, "Hey, let's give it up for Husky over here. He's the first media flyer we've ever had to pull 18 and a half or whatever it was, 17 and a half G's in 2 minutes and not throw up."
Wow.
And I was like, yeah,
Impressive.
all right.
I'm
for
impressed
me.
that you went full Braveheart. We didn't get dressed up for nothing.
Exactly. Going to pick a fight. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to pick a fight.
By the way,
You are
Louie.
William Wallace.
Right. You blew my mind there for a second, Louie, with your theory about Carson Wentz and Nick Sirianni. So Sirianni got hired. 2 months later, they traded Wentz.
Yeah.
So I will say my thought was there was no saving that project. There is.
I remember, I don't know if it was Adam Kaplan, I think, said that they thought Carson Wentz would calm down and he'd want to come back, and he never did. He never wavered from the trade demand. I don't know. I think they would have wanted to bring him back one more year and had him battle it out with Jalen and camp, but Wentz was never. I agree with Mark that Wentz was never going to come back. I do think the Eagles would have brought him back for one more year.
Do you know why Wentz? I happen to know why Wentz did not want to come back, and I have this.
My theory is Howie. Everyone always said it was Doug. I think it was about Howie Roseman.
The training staff.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
When I broke the story about his back, it was clear that I was sourced up and down. How do you know this? I was sourced up and down on this. I mean, I had video and stuff I couldn't release. His trust in the medical staff was so eroded that there was no coming back from it.
But if the Eagles draft Justin Jefferson in the first round that year and don't draft Jalen Hurts, are we sure he's demanding out still?
It didn't matter.
Or Jalen Reagor.
As I initially,
I'm saying if he, instead of drafting Reagor, he drafts Justin Jefferson that year, doesn't take Jalen Hurts. I think he also lost his trust in Howie, but yeah, that's. I do agree with the training thing.
I think the same thing
down from Howie, because initially when I broke the story, it was that he had a fracture in his back, a broken back, and the team knew, and he wasn't told everything explicitly, and they were shooting him up with Toradol like jujubes.
I think the similar thing happened with Trent Williams and the Washington Commanders. And that's why he ended up with the 49ers.
When you lose faith in your medical staff,
it happens.
You are gone.
Yeah, it happens.
Well,
that affects the rest of your life.
Too, so I mean, I've never seen a longer list of injuries on a weekly basis in my entire life than that 3 years.
Marigo's
just settled.
Yeah, Chris Marigo's
Maragos,
the organization.
Yeah,
I'll never forget. It was it was one of the last games of the 2019 season. It was almost the entire roster on the injury report. They
destroyed his knee. They destroyed his knee in surgery. I will tell you this: that the day I broke that story, I was working with Anthony. What's going on, Bo? And of course, he's tight with Howie. Howie's texting him how what I'm saying is not true.
Yeah,
and I said, text him this: I'm not going to go with the Marigo's stuff that I have too. Silence.
Yeah, exactly.
I had the Marigo's thing too.
It's funny because, Farzi, you were talking about the Eagles' best game last year as an offense was against Minnesota. That was against Carson Wentz. And remember watching him, his mechanics hadn't improved one iota since the day he became a Philadelphia Eagle.
It got worse.
He still just has awful mechanics, the real wide base, throwing high. It's the same guy.
The long whip.
Yep.
Still drag the team with Greg Ward as their wide receiver 1 to the playoffs. Just I'll be a Wentz defender for the rest of my life.
You know what, Louie?
You never got to be on a test.
And I
Then
said
he got cheap shot by
radio.
Jadeveon Clowney on the first play, first drive of the game, playoffs out.
I said it when I was on the radio. I was like my kids and like the people that are Eagle fans, young Eagle fans, are blessed to have a guy like Carson Wentz, a good citizen, a good quarterback, a tough guy, and everything. Totally snowed. Like every wool was pulled over my eyes about him in the beginning.
Yeah.
Look, he had his. I mean,
You got that now.
Wentz was a huge part of his own downfall, but man, I mean, Howie Roseman, some of the stuff that he put around Wentz those couple of years, it just did not work. I mean,
and the off the
little
field
to
stuff
work with.
became a big problem.
Wow. Wow.
Which I didn't think
I don't know how we got there from the Sirianni stuff, but I love it.
All right. Literally, we're at minute 50 of the show. Let's hit a blank right here.
And we're back.
And just like that, we're in the third segment. And this is going to be a short one.
Yeah.
Real quick, Louie, let me just, because I'm sure you already did some content on this. Let me make sure I got this right. Tryon Shoyinka.
Yeah.
Joe. His first name is Joe. So, Joey. Joe Tryon Shoyinka. Edge rusher. The Eagles are now his 4th team in 2 years, 6'5", 32nd overall pick. Went to Tampa after they won the Super Bowl. Then he was with Cleveland, Chicago, and now the Philadelphia Eagles.
And did nothing with those two teams. Really.
Yes.
Nothing.
Correct.
Nada.
Yeah,
he had
0
8 sacks in his first 2 years, and that was that pretty much. Camp body, upside, thoughts and prayers. What do you got?
I think he's exactly that. He had so the first 3 years, like not terrible production, not good for a first round pick, but 4 sacks, 5 sacks. That's from 2021 to 2023. Then he had 2 in 2024, last year in Tampa Bay, none last year with Chicago and Cleveland. It's just, again, another dart throw at the board. Former first, second round pick Arnold Ibikiti was this kind of move as well. Last year, it was Josh Uche and Azeez Ojulari. Low risk, high reward. I think Howie Roseman likes to do that when he has a roster like this that is very expensive at the top. He's paying a lot of stars on both sides of the ball. Yeah. Instead of what he used to do, which is bring in a lot of like older 30-plus-year-old veterans on these short-term deals. I think he likes a guy now with a little bit more upside, even if the floor is a little bit lower. Does it always work out? No, it didn't work out last year with a lot of those guys.
But it's very inexpensive, too.
It's inexpensive, and hey, like, what if you get your next Mekhi Becton? I mean, that worked in 2024.
Yep.
For every one of the Mekhi Becton signings, though, you get 3 of the Kenyon Green trade, Josh Uche, and Ojulari. But, yeah, I don't think it's bad business to do this when you have the kind of makeup of a roster the Eagles do right now.
It's smart. It's a smart move.
I don't think he makes the team, but it's worth a shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as Abukadi, for instance.
Yeah.
You take a flyer.
Right.
The other is an undrafted guy just going into his second year now, Chandler Martin.
Coming off injury,
a torn ACL. Yeah. He was with the Ravens on their practice squad mostly. Another shot in the dark, this time for a linebacker.
Only
just round out the depth. Yep. I think the linebacker room looks really good right now, even without Nakobe Dean. I mean, you've got Bond, Trotter. I should put Campbell ahead of Trotter, but then Smile Mondon's interesting heading into year 2. Interesting traits there. This guy's college tape looks exciting, but yeah, again, bringing in a couple camp bodies. I don't think anything really to write home about, but that's what Howie Roseman's been doing for the past couple of years.
All right,
we got a question up here in the chat about involving AJ and Jalen Carter.
All right. How about a non-AJ trade thought? Is there any way Jalen Carter gets traded to avoid the massive payday that's coming for him? Picks player. But I mean, I don't think it's necessarily something the Eagles are putting on the table. But I think it's something that if he's not signed yet and the rookie option's not activated, other teams might start throwing some stuff at you. But I don't think the Eagles are looking to make that move. Love and life in Alaska says so.
Yeah, no chance I'm trading Jalen Carter.
No
Sounds
way.
like they were working on, I don't know if they were currently like active in negotiations for an extension, but I think they pick up the 5th-year option before May, and I think they get that deal done. I'm not getting rid of Carter.
You want to pay a guy like that. You drafted him, you developed him, he's turned out. You want to pay a guy like that.
He was so good in your Super Bowl run. It's like, I get what happened last year, but when you talk about like wear and tear on a player, we all talk about Saquon kind of winding down last year. Jalen Carter played more snaps than anybody on that defense in 2024. And you could tell he wasn't right until he got that shoulder procedure. And then he dominated against Buffalo. So, yeah, I'm betting on him still being a stud.
Yeah,
I'm not trading Jalen.
It might have been irresponsible, but I really kind of liked him spitting on
that. I mean, an Eagle star spitting on the Cowboys quarterback.
That was pretty good.
In a couple of years, people are going to look back and be like, that was kind of awesome.
Yeah.
When it first happened, you're losing your mind. But the Eagles love that. He spit on the Dallas Cowboys quarterback the first play of the game. I mean, that's legendary stuff.
They got to get like one of those. You ever see those NASCAR fans that have the Calvin on the back of their car and it's peeing on like the Dallas Star? They got to get one of the silhouette figure of Jalen Carter spitting on Dak Prescott's star.
I'd get that on a shirt.
Yeah.
Good.
I actually have that picture of me in the old Cowboy Stadium standing next to the star, pantomiming a lewd act. Anyway,
he should do some appearances with the Hawk Tua girl, Harry.
Oh, yeah.
All right. When we come back, I was just going to mention the Stout thing. We'll get to the pressing question later on in the week. And then I just put the quarter in the machine for Jason when it comes to Porter Martone making his start for the Flyers tonight. Talk about that right after this quick blink. All right. I watched it. I listened, so everybody else didn't have to in case you didn't have an hour. But Jeff Stoutland should be required listening on the Nick Foles podcast for all Eagles fans. It was fantastic. But long and short of it is Lane Johnson and other people have said that Jeff Stoutland would be with the Eagles in some capacity, in some role. So they asked Stout about it, and Stout's like, I have no idea what he's talking about. So not great. Not great. Yeah. Harry, I thought you'd
So nobody's told him.
Jeff Stoutland is out double barrels, basically saying, you guys pushed me aside like I was nothing. You expect me to come back and be like, pick your feet up. No, I'm not going to be that guy.
Right.
I'm not going to be that guy. So good for him. All right. Jason.
I like that.
Porter Martone. Hattie tonight?
What number sweater is he wearing?
PM 94, Harry.
94?
Porter Martone, 94, yep.
Okay.
He wore 22 in college, but that number is already taken. Of course, the head coach wore number 22 at the Philadelphia Flyers as well.
Where did he play college?
He was at Michigan State, and they were ticketed to go to the Frozen Four, but they got zipped this week by Wisconsin. The Badgers got him in overtime, ended his season early, facilitating the early move to the NHL. Signed the entry-level contract Sunday morning, was en route to the game Sunday evening. Plane landed at 7:30. I had a chance to see him as he got to the Xfinity Mobile Arena.
Oh, you like Johnny Clark at the airport?
No. He was walking downstairs when he got there to head upstairs and see Jonesy and Danny.
Oh, you met him in the players' entrance.
Yeah, in the hallway outside the room, Harry. And he walked up and said, "I'm Porter." I said, "I know." And I got a picture of the bag, Harry. Did you see my tweet of the bag? Of Michigan State hockey bag? Okay. And the twigs on top.
Nice.
And he spray paints the blade of his stick white. For some reason, I don't know why, but it's the Porter Martone thing. But I tweeted out, Porter Martone signed, sealed, and equipment bag delivered. So he's got his skates. He's got his uppers and everything. And as they call them in Minnesota, his breezers. You know what the breezers are, Harry?
No, I don't.
That's what they call the hockey pants in Minnesota. Breezers.
Why?
I have no idea.
Because they're basically Canadian anyway from Minnesota.
Yeah, but they don't in Canada. They don't call them breezers. Only in Minnesota.
Oh, they don't? Oh, wow.
But he's got the breezers. He's in town tonight, and big kid, man. He reported to Michigan State at 196 pounds, and he put on 200. He's 210 now. And he lost 3% body fat, which tells you he put on muscle.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah. This season. You go to college, you only play on the weekend. So you hit the gym, and you hit the gym hard. Hasn't played a ton this year because in college, they don't play that many games. Matter of fact, he played in 35 games. He had 50 points this year. Debut tonight. He's not going to come in and be a savior. It's not what he's going to be. But it's a shot in the arm.
Yeah,
and this might be the last time the Flyers ever play Ovechkin tonight.
It's a reason to watch the game.
There you go. 2 points out of the wild card spot, folks. Big 2 points at the barn.
With a game in hand to boot.
Yeah. I bet they'll score more than the Phillies.
Yeah. Locked on Phillies now. You're dipping your toe in Farsi's territory.
Yeah.
Phillies, I got the postcast responsibilities. Phillies got the Nationals
Right.
Flyers got the Caps. Sixers got the Wizards.
Oh,
Take it to
decent.
Sixers
DC,
game
baby.
last night was fun.
Oh,
That was
18 to
terrible.
9.
That was terrible. That
a
was
triple
terrible.
parlay.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Folks,
And
that's
Marc,
what we call
the
a program.
Italians played today at 2:45 to get into the World Cup as well. Don't forget.
Who do they play?
Bosnia.
Oh, wow.
Win to get in.
Bosnia.
If not, they missed 3 World Cups in a row. That's not like the motherland. We got to get in.
No, the Itals got to get in.
Got
Yeah,
gotta get
they
in.
just beat Northern Ireland.
Bosnia.
Yeah.
Did you
They
see
beat
what
Northern Ireland?
File this under other things that football fans usually don't care about, but
Well, that's football.
I will. I'm sorry, football.
Yeah.
Gennaro Gattuso is the head coach of the Philadelphia. Would love Gattuso as a head coach of any sport in Philadelphia. He's a nut job. He literally told his players before the game against Northern Ireland, "Hey, go out there and be a gangster." That's what he told him. That's what he told him. And they won 2-0. All right, folks. That's called a program. Harry Mays, Jason Bertidis, Louie DiBiase right there. He's got you covered each and every day with your Locked On Eagles content. We got you covered 2 days a week, Locked On Eagles squad show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Back with you guys on Thursday. See you guys then. Go Birds. Go Flyers. And Sixers, don't blow it late. And Phillies, it's fun to score runs. Bye.